Betsy and Thomas here for the American Intelligence Media. Today we're going to be talking about an executive order of October 21st, 2020. And this is entitled, President Donald J. Trump is taking action to promote good governance and accountability within the federal workforce. Thomas, everybody's been sending me this executive order. People are saying that this marks the end of the senior executive services. But you say, not yet.
It's close. It's close. And yes, it's very exciting. And I'm glad that people did send it because this is some of the biggest news going on. As we said, Donald Trump already knows he's going to win the election. That's just a given. Of course, it will be contested more than likely, even though there will be a landslide vote in his favor. They will attempt to contest it in any way they can. That's the reason that Joe Biden has now literally set aside $150 million for lawyers to fight the results of the election. But what this is a new schedule for the civil service. It's called Schedule F. Never existed before. Now, why did this happen? Very clearly, I know exactly why it happened, because we've been telling Trump that if he doesn't get rid of the senior executive service, he will never be able to be the president, because the 56 federal agencies are controlled by people who were appointed by Obama, 8,500 of the 10,000 or so, and they can't be fired. I mean, even Bruce Orr, the person who should have been fired more than anybody in the Russian hoax, recently he resigned. He didn't, and is McCabe going to get his retirement? Probably. Nobody gets fired if you're a senior executive service member. And if you're going to be in the corrupt federal government, you're going to want to be a senior executive service member because you have special pay rates, you have special bonuses. You can't be fired. You have special retirement bonuses, all these things that the rest of the civil servants who had to work their way up the ladder don't get offered. As a matter of fact, you have to stop being a civil servant to move into the realm of being a senior executive service member, at which point you have more power than anybody else because you can't be fired. You're the general of your section. All 56 agencies have SES members heading them. And then there are the presidential appointments that are confirmed by the Senate when they are suggested by the president, which shouldn't really have to happen. Remember, all 4.5 million people that work for the federal government under the executive office, under the president, are under his direct control. They must do what he says, or they should be able to be fired. Well, the senior executive service was set up as a scam to bring highly paid people who weren't even necessarily professionals in the area that they are now in charge of in the federal government into the government so that they could be what is truly the establishment.
But I would say it's not just a scam. These are Crown agents. When we track it back, they are actually working for the Queen, the Privy Council, the Pilgrim Society. These are Obama's foot soldiers in Washington, because you see, war is not the way that we imagine it in the old movies with bullets and bombs and tanks anymore. It's been moved into an information battlefield or a bureaucrat battlefield where you have these rogue, well, they're not rogue because they're there legitimately. Congress actually passed laws to put them in, laws which they need to walk back as soon as we get both the Senate and Congress. But this organization, and they're paramilitary, they fly their own flag, they do their own thing, and they are obstructing the president. So that is a type of warfare we're faced with.
They are openly the resistance, and they call themselves the resistance, and they are in direct opposition to President Trump. Now, the good news here, and this is fantastic news, Trump cannot end the senior executive service. Can't do it. It would take a vote of Congress supported by the Senate and the House to even change it. He can't even significantly change it because it is set up as a civil service branch of the United States government. Federal government, of course. So the Schedule F is a new schedule that he can take anyone he wants and move them from the senior executive service into Schedule F. What does Schedule F mean? Read the executive order. It says he can fire them at any time very quickly without going through any of those crazy processes. And it says in the executive order, it takes a year and a half to fire them. That's optimistic. You can't fire them. Generally, you simply cannot fire them. We couldn't fire Andrew McCabe. We couldn't fire Bruce Orr. We couldn't fire any of these people. Now, Bill Barr, because Trump got to see during these 4 years that the establishment, the resistance, handles all the paperwork. It doesn't matter who he appoints. They have to work with the people below them, and they can't fire them. And they don't even do their review. So the head of the Department of Justice is not in charge of the senior executive service members that run the Department of Justice. I know that sounds insane.
But this is not to give Bill Barr a pass, because Bill Barr is senior executive services. So who's to say that he's not there doing that on purpose to keep the president's agenda from being enacted?
What we see here is a perfect, beautiful Trump end run. This is the workaround. This was him saying, aha, I can't just simply use the Hatch Act and just pay them $1 for a year, and that's it, which he could. And he threatened that when he closed the government down before, and they were all terrified. So what did they do? They recently put forward a bill to remove the obligation to create the plum book, the book that lists who the senior executive service members are, what position they're in, and their base salary. Now, that doesn't count their bonuses. It doesn't count any of the special money that they get. Some of these people literally, they make more money than the president does. And nobody can do a thing about it, because the people who rule it are the 500 members that are the final review committee in the Department of Justice, all lawyers looking at senior executive service members to see if they followed the orders they were given. Those orders are given from the bunker that Obama created, that Eric Holder and Valerie Jarrett and the other people in that bunker, which we're paying for, by the way. What has happened is, when they said, okay, they're going to try to make it so that no one knows who a senior executive service member is or what they're paid or anything like that, by removing the plum book, which we are the people who brought forth the plum book and made it available, the work of Michael McKibben and staff writers at Americans for Innovation. So they want to get rid of it. Well, Trump trumped them. And he now has created Schedule F. Schedule F, he can move anyone he wants, because all 14,000 presidential appointments to the senior executive service can be adjusted by simply changing their pay scale. Classification F is a pay scale in the civil service that never existed before, which is part of this executive order, and it basically changes everything.
Okay, but there is a line in here, and let's clarify this, because when you read it, it's a very easy order, folks. You can find it easily. Just type in the title I gave you at the beginning. But it does say the order will not affect the senior executive service. And why would they have to put that in there like that?
Because he's making it perfectly clear that he's not trying to change the law. See, that's a law that Jimmy Carter started, and back in the 70s, and they had to rewrite the Civil Service Act, basically.
Because it wasn't an executive order that started it. It actually went through Congress, so it's a law, and Trump has to follow the law.
Correct.
He's just finding a way around it. And what he's doing, I really like this. He's creating a category, a new category that's it superimposes itself upon the senior executive service. So they never envisioned that a president would come in and create a category over SES, and then bring up those employees, the ones that are recommended to be in this category F. Do I understand that correctly?
That's correct.
Oh, he trumped them.
He trumped them, and because presidential appointees don't take the job unless they demand to be a senior executive service member, especially if they're at the head of their agency.
Well, that's how they get all the special bonuses.
Absolutely. And so you don't have to have now a good person at the top of the agency. You just have to have people in Schedule F who are above the senior executive service members, who are going to take their orders from the president as they are supposed to, or else be locked up in prison because they are defying the commander-in-chief's orders.
So you're inside the Beltway, you're a senior executive services operative. What are you thinking right now when you read this order?
Well, they thought they were smart, because with the threat, and he had said this, that there is the threat that he can pay them each $1 a year until they go away. It doesn't matter. They have offshore accounts. They could take $1 a year and stay, but they can't get around this, because right in the executive order, it says this is for good governance so that we can get rid of the bad. Well, out of the 4.5 million, 2 million of them are literally bureaucratic do-nothings. The FBI has done nothing. The CIA has done nothing. The Department of Justice has done nothing in the 4 years Trump has been in office, except obstruct. and literally obstruction of justice in many, many cases. So what this is this is the best news. When Tyla sent this to me, I was overjoyed. And it's so clear what it is. It is a shot across the bow to tell all these people, I'm firing you.